We discover his body in the Jordan River in Salt Lake City. And so literally before the sun rose, like we saw death on Friday, and by Saturday morning, we're holding a brand new life. When I was 18, I became a Melchizedek priesthood holder. I served a 2-year mission. I got married in the temple and served my callings. I took this very seriously. I was going to the temple, at least twice a month.
What was your childhood like? Did you grow up in the LDS church, or were you converts? What was your family life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I grew up in the heart of Mormonism. So I grew up in a city that was 98% Mormon. And so all of my neighbors, we knew which families weren't. In my neighborhood, I knew the one house that wasn't Mormon. And so, yeah, I was one of those members that was obsessive about the traditions of my fathers. I spent, I wasn't one that was passive on Sunday. I was sitting up, I was listening, I was taking notes, and I was all in. I wasn't a half-in Mormon. I wasn't one that partied on the weekend or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I was all in 100%. I didn't have my first sip of coffee until I'd been out of the church for a while.
Wow.
Let's put it that way.
Okay. Wow. So you were doing all the things, you were doing everything in the temple,
mm-hmm.
Take us through some of that, what your daily life was like as a member of the church.
Yeah. So, well, maybe I'll give kind of I don't know if pedigree is the right word, but so I served in all my callings. So when I was 12, I was made an Aaronic priesthood holder. When I was 16, when I was 18, I became a Melchizedek priesthood holder. I served a 2-year mission. I got married in the temple and served my callings. And so one of the major things, and this has been kind of interesting for me as I've started engaging online, is I really believed what the leaders of the church said. So when they told me that the words at General Conference every 6 months are higher and better and more important and more pertinent than the words in the scriptures, I believe that. And I read those words as if they were scripture. Wow. And so every conference I would literally go through those talks again and reread them. So the LDS Church has a magazine called The Ensign that they send out. Now it's all through the app and stuff, but so I'm sure not very many people sign up for it anymore. But back when I was younger, it was you got the Ensign, I would pull it out and I would reread all of these conference talks as if it was living scripture. So I wasn't one that I took this very seriously. I was going to the temple, at least twice a month, but weekly if I could make it work. And I was doing family history work to take names through the temple. I was fulfilling all of my callings in the church. So even then, I was doing some of the scouting programs. They've separated from the scouts since then, but I've always loved the outdoors. So I did a bunch of stuff with the young men. I just was very, very involved.
Okay. So there's pretty much you weren't just this guy off on the fringes, not doing what he's supposed to do. You were all in, but something totally changed you. So take us through the time. I don't know exactly how much time it was, but maybe the year or maybe less leading up to you leaving the church and leaving behind all of those things that were so precious to you.
Yeah, well, it really started. I can actually give you the exact date of when it started, and then it took about 2 years. So July 27th, 2017. And it started with a phone call. So I have a big family, and my brother just older than me. We were really close. And I got a phone call from my mom because the rest of my family was on a trip. So we do a river rafting trip every year, and a lot of the older kids will go. And I wasn't able to go because my wife was 9 months pregnant and we were about to give birth. And I'm like, I don't want to be stuck on the Colorado River and find out that my wife had a baby without me. So I'm home. I get a phone call, and my mom just says, your brother Paul's missing. Paul's missing. And, my older brother, he was fit, like smart guy. And it was an interesting time because he was actually exiting the church when he passed. And so there was some tension there and weirdness. And, I had the typical Mormon thoughts of like, oh, he's falling away and he's deceived, all of those things. But we still loved each other. And I hear my brother's missing, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What do you mean he's missing? He's a 30-year-old guy that's fit, has a wife and a kid. Like, what do you mean he's missing? And so that started, and over the next 17 days were the longest 17 days of my life. And so I go up, they have me go and check a couple of different places. We message my family on a satellite phone who's down on the Colorado River. So they start like rafting through the night to get off the river. And me and my mom go up to where we found his car. And there's a bunch of other people's stuff in it. It is a weird situation, and he's not even close to where his home is. He's about, his car is about 50 minutes north. It was just a strange situation. So I did kind of the typical Mormon thing. So I knocked doors after I did a door-to-door sales job. And so I was used to, and as a missionary, because I served a 2-year mission, you're used to just going up to strangers and talking to them. And so I just started knocking doors in the neighborhood to see if anyone saw anything. The long story short is we discover his body in the Jordan River in Salt Lake City. And he had passed away within a short period of getting separated from his car, and we have no idea what happened.
Wow.
And during this time, our private investigator that my parents had hired to help, he goes, hey, there's this group out in California that finds missing and exploited kids, and the pastor said that he's willing to come and help look for Paul and help us figure this out. And they don't charge anything. They never charge families, and they said they're on their way. And we're like, great. Like at this point, like we don't really care how we find our brother. Yeah. We just want to find him. We'll take any help we can get. And it was it kind of went viral, especially in Utah at the time, because my brother's like a really good looking, like a good looking guy, successful. Like this is a strange situation. So they come up and start helping us look. And these are some of the strangest people that I had ever met in my life up to that point. The pastor shows up. He's got a big old beard. He's got tattoos. But he brings a spirit with him that was just different. It wasn't that I'd never felt that before. I had. It just felt unrestrained. And I'll never forget this, man. I was about to leave my parents' house to go out and search again. And he goes, hey, Dave, how you doing? And up to this point, like, I was good at putting on a mask. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, cool, dude. Can I pray for you? And in Mormon culture, if someone says they're going to pray for you, that means that it's going to be a private thing. They're not going to put their hands on you and pray for you right then.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, sure. Thanks. And then he puts his hands on my shoulders and starts praying. And it was literally like he had Jesus on the other line. He's like, here, he has something to say to you. And at this point in my life, like, this was like such a dark period. And this one like faithful prayer was really a light, because I was starting to like see the signs, even though my brain wouldn't process it, that like my brother's dead. There's no way he's alive. And yeah, that's really where my journey started. So after that, I'll just give a quick breakdown of what happened afterwards. So we have my brother's funeral. And it was on the 18th of August. So it started on the 27th. We have his funeral on the 18th. You know, it's a rough day, but my brother was so charismatic. I mean, literally thousands, like over between, we don't know exactly, but between 1,500 and 2,000 people showed up for his funeral.
Wow.
Like there wasn't enough chairs. There's people standing in the hallways. And that he was just such a charismatic, loving person. Like he was the guy who would just randomly show up without texting you or letting you know he's coming. He's like, "Hey man, I was just thinking about you and I got you this thing." Like he was just that type of person. And I met 100 of his best friends that day, right? Like every person was like, "I'm Paul's best friend," and it just showed his, you know, his love for people. But so we go to bed, we lay my brother to rest, we bury him. I go to bed that night. And when you're searching for someone and you're in that situation, you don't sleep, you hardly eat. And when you do sleep, it's fitful, like you don't get rest. And my wife's 9 months pregnant. So I go to sleep. We get home at like 9. I crash super hard. And at 2:20 in the morning, my wife wakes me up and she's in transition. So she's been dealing with these contractions without telling me. And then she wakes me up and she's like, "I think it's time." And she like can't even breathe through the contraction. So a bunch of chaos ensues, and I get her and we had another baby. I went and got the neighbor, had him come stay in our house while my brother-in-law came over to watch our toddler, and I got her to the hospital. And then me, one nurse, and the secretary at the delivery portion of the hospital deliver my baby. And so that was my wife's first natural birth. Like there was just zero time for anything. And so literally before the sun rose, like we saw death on Friday, and by Saturday morning, we're holding a brand new life. And it's my second daughter, and she has red hair like my brother did. And so like a strawberry blonde.
Yeah.
And so it was just this really chaotic, crazy time. And what was interesting is after that, because I neglected my business during this time, because it's just like, you know, find my brother, got a new baby. I basically didn't go into work for a month. I was running 2 sales offices and they both tanked and my business went under. And then during that, my wife opened up. It was one of those times like when you just start to have like clarity and what things matter. And I confronted my wife and asked her if she had been abused. I'm like, "What happened to you?" Because I've noticed patterns now that I was blind to. What happened? And so she opened up about her sexual abuse that had happened for a long time, that her ecclesiastical leader knew about but didn't say anything to her. Like it was a really messy situation. And so all of that happened in about 6 weeks.
Wow.
So it was just one of those, you know, just never been squeezed like that before. And that is one thing, like, even before we go any farther, one thing I want to say to the LDS members who are watching this, my goal today is to bring the hope that's found in Jesus above all else. I'm not here to attack or to belittle your faith and your sincerity, but I am here to preach the hope that is found in him. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say that before we keep going. But this is where the indoctrination began to break.
To hear the rest of David's story and how he ultimately came to Christ, there's a link in the description to take you to the full 2-hour conversation that we had.